Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off the late pick 4 at Saratoga on Saturday with Grade 1 stakes action. It's a wide open edition of the Forego going 7/8 of a mile. Before we get to the analysis, head on over to the DRF Saratoga handicapping shop at drf.com/spa. There you will find past performances, picks, clocker reports, betting strategies, and the must-have tools to win big at Saratoga. Here's the field for the Grade 1 Forego, and just talk about a wide open race. You've got Complexity, Grade 1 stakes winner is a 2-year-old. You've got Whitmore, who just seems to keep firing year after year, seeking his 15th lifetime victory. Firenze Fire is Hickory. Mind Control shows up more often than not. This is a very, very strong group of sprinters.
It's just a really interesting race. I mean, I think the initial inclination when you pulled the PPs, Dan, is to be disappointed that there's no Volatile in here and no Vacoma in here, two horses who certainly could have run in a race like this, but they're not here, and I think it just makes it a much more interesting race.
And what is very interesting about this race is for a Grade 1 sprint in North America, there doesn't appear to be a lot of speed. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. They've got the 3 up close to the pace, Lexitonian. Lexitonian was 100 lengths out of it last time out in the Bing Crosby and came with a big run. Something tells me the Complexity, he's comfortable on the lead, the number 6. I think he's going to go out there for the lead. I don't think they're going to be going very fast, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's controlling the issue for Chad Brown.
Me too. I mean, if nothing else, and listen, they rated him in the Malibu at the end of last year, and they rated him last time off the layoff, but I got to believe that his connections pulled the PPs for this race and then told Jose Ortiz, put this horse on the lead.
Good news about the number 1 Everfast. Do we remember Everfast from his late rallying second in the Preakness back in 2019? The good thing about Everfast is as he's gotten older, he's gotten more tactical and willing to sit up close to the pace. Let's watch his last race at Saratoga. Jack Sisterson got a confidence booster for this horse. He dropped him into a non-winners of one other than he mid-moved on the turn, and it was nice to see Everfast, who had been stuck as a non-winners of 2 life despite running in many Grade 1 stakes races, finally get to the winner's circle.
Yeah, it was a good trip in this race, but he also wins very easily. Listen, the Bayer's only an 83, but luckily for him, he's got plenty of faster races to get to because he'll have to run faster in here. But going back to his blame, the 1-turn mile back in May, Dan, he ran a 98 that day, and he ran great in that race. If he runs one of those, he can get a piece of this.
Whitmore, the number 2, was a handful in the gate in the Alfred G. Vanderbilt. He broke through pre-start, and then when the gates opened up, there was just no pace for him. Let's watch the race. Whitmore's down inside, turning for home, but Volatile, arguably the best 6-furlong horse in the world, was just able to walk on the lead. And to Whitmore's credit, he is really trying down towards the inside, but Whitmore is able to outsprint him to the finish. Whitmore is another horse where he's deceptively tactical out of the gate and doesn't have to be far out of it. This was a good performance, considering he also kind of lost it before the start.
Yeah, I mean, listen, based on the way that race shook out and what happened, prior to it, and then once the gates opened, I mean, I would say that he and Mind Control and Firenze Fire all ran pretty well in that race with absolutely zero chance to win. We all know what Whitmore is all about. He's a really good horse, and in a lot of ways, he's the horse to beat in here.
Now, Lexitonian actually was entered to run in that Vanderbilt. He not only broke through the start, he ran away. He was scratched. Jack Sisterson said, fine, we'll ship him all the way across the country. We'll run him in the Grade 1 Crosby, and they almost got the money. They turn into the stretch. Lexitonian's far behind right now, but he got a big pace. He is way out of it in the Black Silk's widest, and he is going to make this very, very close. Lexitonian's the kind of horse that might be compromised on Saturday if there is no pace, but boy, he's in good form.
I mean, he certainly ran well in this race. As you mentioned, he really did have a great setup in here. He did get outrun early, but they were contesting and dueling a fast pace in front of him, and he made a big late run to just miss. I don't know. I wasn't blown away with that performance. I think it's important to note that, as you mentioned, he was scratched at the gate of the Vanderbilt. I think he was about 30-1 at that time. I mean, it's not like people were viewing him as a major contender. What price is he going to be in here?
Let's talk about Funny Guy, the number 4, a New York bred that has come back firing as a 4-year-old for John Terranova. He began his season off a lengthy layoff at Belmont in the Commentator, got right up the rail, beautiful trip, looked good doing it, backed it up with this race, the John Morrissey handicap at the Spa. They turned him back to 7. He was a winner every step. The minute he broke from the gate, the way Rosario was sitting on top of Funny Guy, you knew he was going to fire, and he is just finishing it off with a plum. 98 Beyer speed figure, good tactical speed. He's the up-and-comer.
He is. And listen, obviously the waters get deeper here. He's taken on some really good horses in here and some horses with a lot of experience. But you know what? His races are just really good this year. He was a good 3-year-old, Dan, very versatile. You could do anything you wanted with him. He's really taken a step forward as a 4-year-old. And I think the important thing that you mentioned there is he's just very tactical. He can get any kind of a trip in a race.
True Timber is a millionaire. He's never won a stakes race, but he's run some big efforts in major races, 3rd in the Cigar Mile, 3rd in the Kelso, 2nd in the Cigar Mile. He seems to show up when the money's on the line. Let's watch his last race at Keeneland because it was his first start off of a February layoff. He's in the black Calumet silks. He is 2nd from the left, 4th from the left now, 4 wide in between. And this is kind of True Timber. Runs to the level of his competition, even performance. I don't know, Mike. In these major races, I know he picks up checks and often outruns his odds, but I'm getting a little tired of his act.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I can see him getting a piece of this race. I would never bet him to beat this field. I wouldn't use him on top. But as you mentioned, he's 2 times grade 1 placed. He's 2 times grade 3 placed. He placed in the Kelso. This is his distance. You know, it feels like 7 furlongs to a mile around 1 turn is what he really wants. I just wouldn't use him on top.
Complexity won the first 2 starts of his career, including a sprint race at Saratoga in his debut that hinted he was serious. He backed that maiden win with a gate-to-wire score in the Champagne, and things just kind of didn't go right for him after that. An abbreviated 3-year-old campaign. And then his last start, his first race off of another long layoff, was a very promising performance. Let's watch this 1-turn mile effort at Belmont Park. And what I liked about Complexity in this race was he sat a little bit. He's now making the lead. He has every right to get tired at a mile. He's not getting tired. He's finishing it off looking like the horse that won the Champagne. His Beyer of 99 makes him tough, but the best thing about him, I think, in this race is that he can get the lead and control the fractions.
Right. I think the projected pace makes him really dangerous in here. And listen, he ran fine off the layoff last time, sitting the right trip and winning comfortably in that race. I find it hard to trust him a little bit, Dan, if only because ever since the Champagne, and I realize that circumstances are different, but they've run him in 3 grade 1 since the Champagne, and he's been dusted in all of those races. It just makes me feel like he hasn't turned out to be as good as it felt like he once could be. Maybe this is just the right spot, though. He's going to make the lead in this race. I think that makes him pretty tough.
Go back and watch the replay of the last race. You'll see Win, Win, Win rallying for second. Win, Win, Win didn't have a great start that day, and I thought it was a decent enough effort for his second start off about an 11-month layoff. This is a very underrated horse trained by a very underrated trainer. He's a stakes winner on dirt. He's a stakes winner on turf, but he's another one. He needs a little help up front.
Yeah, and I think that's the real difference because I'm very interested in him in this race because you're right about his last race. He didn't get away great. And then he had a little bit of traffic in the stretch where he had to alter course before he got clear. And then he rallied into second. I thought he actually ran deceptively well last time. And really, ever since he sort of burst onto the scene in the Pasco, listen, that was as a January 3-year-old going 7 furlongs. He ran a 99 Beyer. And he hasn't sprinted since then on the main track. So I feel like getting back to a sprint on the dirt could help him. He's 3rd off the layoff now. I think he ran better than it looks last time. His running style is a concern, Dan, but I'm using this horse in this race.
Firenze Fire is a very scary horse at this race, especially if he goes off close to David Aragona's 8-1 morning line. This horse is a millionaire. He's won 11 times. And just look at the competition he's faced. Volatile, Vacoma, Matoli, the Good Imperial Hint, McKinsey, etc. When he doesn't face those horses, he makes hay. Last time out in the Vanderbilt, you and I were just scratching our heads. We know that Firenze Fire can break from the gate. Instead, they had him widest and last off that slow pace. He had absolutely no chance. Draw a line through that effort. You go back to the True North, where it was more workmanlike than brilliant, but he got it done.
No, he did. He won the Tour very easily against a weaker field. You're right about his last race. I have no idea what Irad Ortiz could have been thinking to take this horse back to last and keep him 3 or 4 wide around the track. It just made no sense. Outside of the winner of that race, I would argue that maybe Friendly Fire ran the best race of anybody. He had no chance at all to impact that race. Listen, we know that he's good enough to beat this field. We talked about it before we came on. I'm getting a little tired of, continuing to make cases for him in races like this, but I'll just leave it at this, Dan. I'm using this horse.
The one other time that Majestic Dunhill, the number 9, went from turf to dirt, he won the City of Laurel Stakes at 7 furlongs from way out of it. Let's go back to his most recent dirt effort. 3 starts back. It's his first race off a gigantic layoff. He's going to alter course to the far outside in the red cap, and he's going to run on late. He's just going to get beat a length by a decent runner in Global Campaign, although this is one of those blanket finishes where I think you question the quality a little bit. Majestic Dunhill's a 1-run closer. He needs luck from a pace standpoint. He needs luck from a trip standpoint. He will be firing late. It might not be enough.
Yeah, I guess he could come along late and get a piece of this, I suppose, since he won his dirt debut back in November 2018. He's run 6 more times on dirt, all of them at this distance, and they're kind of all the same race. He gets outrun early. He tries to pick up pieces late. He never really gets that close. I don't know. He's not for me in this kind of race.
I think Mind Control, another millionaire, can get close to the pace under John Velasquez. Last time out in the Vanderbilt, at least they tried Volatile a little bit early. They got right up close to Volatile, and Volatile's just better than he is and out-sprinted him home. The time before in the Carter, he caught a sloppy track. He just didn't seem to like it. And Mind Control is so consistent. You see a race like that, a running line like that, and you can make the excuse of a wet track.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because that's really the only time he hasn't shown up. I don't know. I think you have to respect him in this race, Dan. I don't have him anywhere in my picks, but I'm not going to be surprised if he runs well. I think you made a very good point there when you opened up about this horse because he does have enough speed to get close to the pace, and that could make a big difference in here.
Last but certainly not least, a Chad Brown train runner with a 101 last race Beyer speed figure. It's the 11, Fortin Hill. Let's watch his race on the 4th of July at Belmont. He tracked 3 wide. He attacks on the turn. He's on the outside in the red hat. And this race is very fast, and it's his first start off of a short layoff, and he's so lightly raced that there's upside. I'm not a big fan of the horse he's beating. I realize Amundsen was the favorite. Fortin Hill had to work a little bit to beat that horse. Does that concern you a little bit?
It didn't. I wouldn't say it concerns me. Amundsen made him work a little bit, I guess. But this horse, Fortin Hill, was off the layoff there. Amundsen had the lead. I thought this horse ran well last time. I'm not going to knock the performance. I mean, we'll just see what happens. He's so lightly raced. It feels like Chad just has his hands full keeping this horse on the track. And maybe that's why they're going to, throw him right into a grade 1 now, Dan. They've got him sound. He's in racing shape, and they just have to take their shot with him.
And that's where I'm going as we take a look in the grade 1 Forego. I think you and I have the similar idea, just with a different horse. We kind of like the horses with established form, the millionaires, the legitimate grade 1 runners, but I think we're looking with horses that have that upside, that have an opportunity for a forward move and have a little bit of tactical speed. You outpost me, you get a better draw with Funny Guy.
Yeah, that is how I looked at the race, though. And it's ultimately why I took Funny Guy, too, because I'll tell you that I thought long and hard about putting win-win-win on top at a price and just hoping he can get a trip in here. But Funny Guy's just so tactical, and it feels like he's going to get the right trip in here. And I just really respect his recent form.
Yeah, not only tactical, he's just razor sharp. Terra Nova's done a great job with this horse. 4782 for Mike. I like Fortin Hill. I think Irad, if he hustles him out of there, maybe he can work out a little bit of a trip without losing too much ground. The sky might be the limit off that 101 Beyer effort. 11, 6, 2, and 10 for me. What a war this should be. The grade 1 Forego kicks off your 50-cent late pick 4 with an approximate post time of 5:07 Eastern. Best of luck.